like why you had to take my brother's way. Money in my mattress, but I had to cap another safe. I just capped another safe. I just capped another safe. All these bitches on me now.
Now, I know you guys have already seen the title by now, and before you start disagreeing or maybe hit that dislike button, just hear me out till the end of this video. Now, I wouldn't be comparing a player to the likes of Kawhi Leonard if he didn't at least show the potential, but that's exactly what Gary Harris has done. And look, this whole entire Denver Nuggets team is severely, and I mean severely, underrated, from Nikola Jokic to Jamal Murray and even Will Barton. And I don't know why they don't get the recognition that they deserve. And just looking at the types of talent they have on this team, they are no joke. I even see them being a contender in a few years. And I don't know, maybe the reason they don't get the recognition that they deserve is because they play in a small market, or because they haven't accomplished a lot. But once again, they are a very young team, and as a Nuggets fan, they deserve a lot more attention, especially Gary Harris. Gary Harris has shown a lot of potential to the likes of Kawhi Leonard. And 4 years ago, no one really knew who Kawhi Leonard was, despite playing at a fairly high level with one of the best teams in the NBA or in NBA history, which was the Spurs. And it wasn't until 2014 when Kawhi Leonard won Finals MVP and captured the eyes of many NBA fans. And Gary Harris seems to be on a similar trajectory also. If you look at his game, just the way he plays from far away, nothing Harris does seems truly spectacular. But if you look closer at the way he plays and watch some of the Denver Nuggets games, you'll see elements of Harris' consistent, well-rounded skill set start to stand out just the way Kawhi Leonard's once did. In a quote, the Denver Nuggets head coach Michael Malone said, "When I got here, there were questions about whether Gary Harris was an NBA player. But right now, it is a no-brainer, as Gary Harris is the Denver Nuggets' best on-ball defender and its leading scorer this NBA season. But for the longest time, the greatest aspect of Harris's game was his elite defense, just like Kawhi Leonard. You know, be it forcing a missed shot or denying your man the ball. However, defense isn't usually enough to get the attention of NBA fans out there, and maybe that's why he doesn't get the recognition that he deserves. But at 6'4", he doesn't force teams to change their entire game plan the way Kawhi Leonard does at 6'7", but yet Harris consistently seems to find ways to disrupt and guard the league's best elite wing players. You know, this NBA season, he ranks 9th in deflections per game, the same ranking Kawhi Leonard had last season. And fun fact, if it wasn't for Gary Harris, the Denver Nuggets would have been the worst defensive team in the NBA. And with the type of players Harris has to guard on a nightly basis, you'd think he'd be committing a lot of fouls. But just like Kawhi Leonard, in his 4th NBA season, Harris has collected more steals than fouls so far this season, a feat that is only accomplished by elite defensive guards and small forward. You know, look, this just truly shows how underrated of a player he is in the NBA. Also, he is only 23 years old. And just like Kawhi Leonard, every single year he seems to get better offensively. He went from averaging 3 points to 12 points to 15 points and now 18 points per game. He's become one of the league's best offensive threats in transition, and he's on track to shoot 40% from the three-point line for a 2nd year straight. And Gary Harris's development on the offensive end of the floor bears similarities to Kawhi Leonard's rise in the NBA. Through their first 4 seasons, their numbers look identical. Gary Harris is averaging 12.2 points and 2.1 assists on 37% from 3 throughout his first 4 seasons in the NBA, and Kawhi Leonard averaged 12.3 points and 1.8 assists on 37% from 3 also throughout his first 4 seasons. And once again, almost identical numbers on the offensive end of the floor. But the biggest similarity between both players is that they are unusually quiet and are very consistent on a night-to-night basis. In a quote, Will Barton said, "He just puts his head down and goes about his business. He doesn't talk about it much, he just goes out and does it, and we're fine with that." But I will say this, A slight difference between Gary Harris and Kawhi is that offensively, Gary Harris is more of a off-ball player, kind of like Klay Thompson or a Otto Porter Jr., unlike Kawhi, who is more of a one-on-one threat. But who's to say Harris won't develop more offensively and attack the paint even more and become a better one-on-one threat just like Kawhi? And I know he's not built like Kawhi at 6'7" with extremely large hands and is one of the strongest players in the NBA, but don't take Gary Harris lightly. He is stronger than he looks at 6'4". And fun fact, he is one of 3 guards after LeBron James and Ben Simmons who shoots 70% at the rim, elite company for strength around the basket. So even if you do disagree about him being the next Kawhi Leonard, you gotta admit that their game are pretty similar. Both are amazing defenders and seems to get better every year offensively. And with having an amazing work ethic, who's to say he won't be the next Kawhi-like player in the NBA? We always seem to talk about these other young stars in the NBA under the age of 25, like Joel Embiid, Karl Anthony Towns, or Devin Booker, and the list goes on and on and on. And yet, you barely hear anyone talking about Gary Harris, who is under the age of 25 and has shown a ton of upside in the NBA. But even if you do disagree, hopefully this video sheds some light of how underrated this individual is in the NBA. But that being said, that is all I got for you guys today. And if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, share, and subscribe for more NBA content. But with that being said, I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I'll see you all later. Peace.